Communication between humans started 50,000 years ago, give or take a few thousand years, according to the anthropologists. They theorize that the communication between humans must have started just around the time when they started developing tools, early stage of engineering. The need was when someone develops a new tool, they knew that there would be benefit if they communicated how to do that to their youngsters or the others in the community, so that everyone's life would be easier. So that led to many inventions, spears, stone tools, stones were used to cut and all that kind of thing. And they also, around the same time, created fire and started controlling it. A very important stage in the human evolution. Fire first probably was used to sort of warm them during cold days or night times. But then they found other uses of it. It kept the predators away. It could be used for cooking. This tool making and engineering part of it, which is fundamental to human communication, has come a long way. We now use that fire to run our cars, internal combustion, right? We use it to go to the moon, to propel our rockets. We used it to send the Voyager outside of the solar system into the interstellar space, from which it is looking back at the speck that we live in. So we have come a long, long way through this tool making and communication. Science has grown quite a bit. But there was another aspect of it too, the aspect of communication. They were not all the time developing tools. So the same mode of interaction, the communication, could be used for other purposes. That's how we developed language. So when we are sitting around the fire and looking up at the sky, or just looking at each other, we might have thought about why? Who put us here? What is the purpose of why I'm doing these tools during the day? Why am I having children? And doing many other things that seems like a machine. Or at that time they would have thought probably like other animals. why everything is happening. So that question of why must have arisen in the human mind, and they perhaps started communicating that thought when they were not teaching each other how to make tools. So we developed logic, we developed philosophy, we developed spiritualism, and so on. However, that's a byproduct of communication. The first thing was tools. However, I'm still reading the Bhagavad Gita, which was written 3,000 years ago. If you're not reading the Bhagavad Gita because you are not following the Sanatana Dharma, if you're a Christian, you're reading the New Testament, written 2,000 years ago. Quran, 1,500, 1,600 years ago. Or the Talmud is 2,500 years ago. We have not come very far since then, during the same time when we developed tools to go to the space, in terms of spiritualism. It is perhaps we have focused too much on the tools, the engineering aspect of it, thinking that itself should give us all the comforts we need. Constantly we are finding out that that's not enough. There's got to be more than comforts that we get from tools or inventions based on our tools. So, the idea of reading the Bhagavad Gita is not just to go back and see what is said in there and then follow it. It is also to develop that aspect of the human brain. If we read it and think and communicate to others, spend time with our children talking about it in a way that they can understand, we might also continue to grow in the spiritual realm and the philosophical realm. So, verse 69 says, wise can do it when everyone else's mind is sleeping. In other words, if you're not thinking philosophy, if you're not thinking higher thoughts, whatever else you're thinking is like sleeping in some sense. So when everyone else's mind is sleeping, your mind is abuzz. You're sort of thinking, what might be this, what might be that, who am I, and all that. And at the same time, when everyone else's mind is thinking about, how do I make this tool to make myself comfortable? How do I make more money? Your mind is calm. That's verse 69. That's the person who is wise. The person who is wise, his or her mind is calm when everybody else is in agitation, and it is active in the sense that everyone else is asleep with respect to philosophical and spiritual thinking. And it goes on to the next verse, verse 70, and gives an analogy. I live in Charleston, which is at the confluence of three rivers, Wando, Cooper, and Ashley. They flow quite forceful. Although one of them has a dam, so it's been slowed down, the rivers come flowing at a very high speed, get into this estuary where they meet the ocean. If I go to the area where it happens, the Triveni Sangamam into the ocean, you can't see the rivers. They're all absorbed by the depth of the ocean and the activities of the ocean. In fact, even though the rivers are coming in, at low tide, there are islands which you can cross because the floor gets exposed. It's how much difference the water levels are from floor level to about 7-8 feet during high tide. Nevertheless, you don't see the activities of the river at the estuary, so it's completely absorbed. Like that, a wise mind can absorb all these strong emotions that flow like rivers. The emotions of duality, success, failure, happiness, sorrow, ecstasy, and depression. All of that, when the mind is thinking, the mind is deep, can be absorbed just like the ocean absorbs the rivers at the estuary.